mean, how LGD dismantled IG. And I want to take it a different route real quick and say, in my opinion, the most important thing this series was how much Kramer and Mark dismantled Puff and Balan. Because, man, they were getting destroyed every single matchup, even when in 2 of the 3 matchups, IG had a winning bot lane. And even in the third game, the Jhin Bard shouldn't really get destroyed by whatever LGD had. And then
the Ezreal looks.
Ezreal, yeah, exactly. And then we just kept sawing Mark. This was the best series I've ever seen Mark play. Man, Mark was so good because he was consistently roaming around the map, setting up Peanut for his amazing Nidalee mechanics, helping him snowball ahead, shutting them the Shy that game 2 on the Lucian. And, like, I don't even know what Ning could have done because I saw a lot of people saying, okay, Ning didn't play well, Ning didn't play well. It's like, sure, Ning didn't play, like, good, but I don't feel like Ning really got a chance of how much Puff and Ballad got destroyed.
Yeah, and he wasn't the problem either, you know, for what we were seeing on the Rift. Mark is a good compliment because alongside Peanut, there was a lot of that. I think, was it you, Jordan, who said this to me the other day? The 2019 Crisp that we saw with very much like roaming.
That's what he looked like. Like, and again, that's insane to how bad IG was, that we're making Mark look like 2019 Chris. But that also speaks, I guess, like heights to how well Mark played in this series. And I really hope he can keep it up against JDG because if he can, I feel like that will be a way that they can actually win as underdogs.
So quickly, Dagda, was this a, because we do have to run through and I want to start talking about MVPs. To finish off this quarterfinal, is it just down to how IG played or stylistically? Do you want to talk about LGD?
I think LGD absolutely played their socks off. Like, this is the best LGD I have seen all split, and it's in this playoffs. Like, every single member on this team is stepping up. Long Xing has looked absolutely incredible. His engages have been nuts. Looking at Peanut, who has been whatever the... Well, 9 times out of 10 he's a winning matchup. But either way, he's snowballing that advantage in the jungle super, super well. And then especially, as we said, with Mark coming up and getting involved, means that then you were guaranteed a jungle win for LGD, which sets up Shie to look fantastic, who's absolutely playing out his mind. And then Kramer, late game Ezreal, is just killing everyone everywhere.
Stylistically, Lyric, do you want to leave it somewhere with how LGD put IG in a body bag?
I mean, again, I truly feel like it was just through bot difference. Like, I feel like Kramer and Mark just looked amazing.
Okay, nice place to leave it there. LGD moved to semifinals, which we'll talk about in a second. But leaving on a positive note, so far, who would you give as your MVP to playoffs? Now, this will change, as everyone out there will know. When we get towards grand finals and we see our semifinalist teams of Top Esports and JDG play, that could maybe shift gears. But playoffs so far, Dagda, you're up first.
I'm kind of caught between 2 places. It's Peanut or Shie for me. I've been really, really impressed with LGD as a whole. Shie against WE was by far the standout performer, but Peanut has always been kind of at his back, egging him on, kind of giving him a lot of these advantages as well. So I think I'm going to kind of duo MVP there. I think that mid-jungle 2v2 has been the focal point for LGD. I know against IG there was issues in the bot side, but I think Peanut did such a good job of exploiting them in a lot of situations and working alongside Kramer and Mark to solidify them. So yeah, I'm kind of going to cop out and give the double.
I'm okay with that. A couple's fine. Sir, what do you think?
I mean, if Dagda thinks he's copping out, I'm super copping out.
What are you going to say?
I can't pick an MVP so far. Like,
why?
The thing is, like, V5 just got completely dismantled by Suning. It's like,
how is he going to give it to Mole now?
Well, no, who on Suning can I pick? It's like, I could say the members of the teams, it's between, like, I'd say for Suning, it's between SOFM and Huanfeng so far, and I agree with Dagda, it's between Peanut and Shie for LGD, but to me, the most convincing series of playoffs as far was LGD against WE because, like, sure, they stomped them individually. I don't think Morgan and Teacher Ma played well at all, but it also felt like LGD had to, like, dig deeper, like, play out, like, the macro game well. We got to see standout performances from people like Shie to where, like, IG's bot lane just collapsed and LGD just took advantage of that so well. It's like, I didn't get to see too much in that series. And then the same thing goes for V5 where Suning's plan was so well, they played so well as a team. It's like, who is a standout performer? SOFM and Huanfeng, but again, like, nailing it down to 1 for me is really tough.
All right, well, I'm happy to accept that answer because it will
I
change.
give 4.
We will obviously have a different of opinion. We got the regular season MVP, and we still haven't seen that regular season MVP.
I'm going to change mine to the entirety of LGD, actually, just the Big 5.
I'm glad I allocated 3 minutes of this segment. Let's move forward. Because we have more playoffs to talk about. It's into semi-finals starting next week. As our audience is seeing this now, it will only be a couple of days Of course, we are recording. What day is it, boys? It's Monday.
Monday.
Yep,
Hey,
Monday.
we normally record on Sunday. This is a new Mondays.
And we did Friday before as well.
Oh,
so.
man, we're really messing it all up, aren't we? Well, semi-finals. That is on the way with finals to follow suit. And also the third place match, which is important for seeding. When we go into this full screen, as you can see on your screens now, if you're watching from YouTube, but as also a side note to anyone who's listening on Spotify or anywhere on Anchor, at the moment, we're looking at the semi-finals of Top Esports Suning in the upper bracket, which is coming on the 22nd, and on the 23rd, the day after, JDG versus LGD, with the third place match on the 25th of the two losing teams. So let's start with the top side of the bracket here. Top Esports versus Suning. We've only seen one series of Suning. Unfortunately, V5 didn't make the run. We talked a lot about Suning showing new levels of play. And I think stylistically there could be some differences. I've used that word a lot today. Against Top Esports running into this semis.
I'm actually kind of curious as to how this one goes. I feel like Top Esports are the favoured, but I've been really disappointed with Karsa's jungling at the moment. Oftentimes, but like we had this conversation where when I look at his jungle pathing in the early stages, he ends up pathing like from his strong side down towards his weak side, and oftentimes ends up caught out in situations where he starts to fall behind. And especially if SOFM is playing as well as he did against Victory 5, I'm wondering how that is going to work out. But I think when we look at the skirmish potential where Suning oftentimes kind of end up in this situation, I think Top Esports pound for pound are just individually better, and I think when we get to those team fights then that's where Top Esports will shine.
Yeah, I want to preface this with I honestly have no idea how this will go. Like after seeing how Suning played against Victory 5, and again, it was completely different to how they played during the whole split.
Yeah.
I don't know how Suning's going to show up. Is
Like,
Suning
will
going
that
to
happen
keep
again?
playing like that aggressively? Are they going to change up their style to maybe try and counteract maybe Knight or Jackie Love, something along those lines? Hard to say, but I agree with Rob in the sense that, like, at their peaks, Top Esports just outskill them in every role.
Yep.
Like, even Bin, who I think is a future prospect to be maybe the best top player in the region, if 369 plays like he was at the start of the split, 369 was the best top player in LPL this split. We all know the heights of Knight. We all know the heights of Jackie Love. Karsa, though not playing well really this year at all, I mean, obviously, 2017, 2018, 2019, Karsa was always a top 3 to 5 jungler in the world.
Easily.
So, like, the pieces are there for Top Esports, but things were looking shaky. The thing about them, though, is they're really clutch. So that's the thing that also sways to me is their individual potential and their clutch factor. It's even how they beat Suning in the regular split, right? Because Suning should have won both of those games, but Top Esports with cheeky Barons or pop-up performances from Knight was able to bring it back. But to me, this is close. Like, this is, if anything, this is like a 45-55 matchup for Top Esports from what we saw from Suning in their quarterfinal match.
If they can give that to us again.
I think one of the big things as well is like Jackie Love. I know this sounds weird, but like Jackie Love has been pretty inconsistent for me where he will go super aggressive in lane, he gets caught out, he gets punished, and then they start to really fall
Can I
behind.
correct you? He's been very consistent in
Kind
that
of consistent
match.
in that, yeah, fair. But I think that's where you could actually look to exploit that quite a bit, especially Yanja, as we've talked about for a while, because member I'm Top Esports. So I think if you are starting to play around there as Suning, you get Wanfeng fed. I mean, you're off to the races at that stage, right? Wanfeng has proven that he can take these carry performances and run away with them. And then it becomes an issue of, okay, well, this AD carrier, this bot lane is so big. When we get to those skirmishes where it ends up being, okay, well, Top Esports individually might be better, but if you've got a 3,000, 4,000 gold lead on your back, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue.
That's why I wonder if they'll go for that same route against V5, where it was very much about like early skirmishing, playing off tempo, stacking up like dragons and heralds, or if they're going to just match Top Esports, because that's what they pretty much did all split long, right? You keep Huanfeng on some kind of like farming, scaling 80 carry, you leave him bot lane. Sword Art's going to go roam around the map while Huanfeng's just going to farm, very Jackie Love-esque, and you're playing more for those later skirmishes. Because if they go for that, it'll be interesting because, again, that's where Top Esports thrive. That's where Top Esports, in my opinion, should outdo them. But then when you mention Jackie Love's mistakes, it's like, there's like always a chance for Suning to punish a mistake coming out from TS. And I also want to highlight SOFM really quick because despite the fact that in the regular season, I don't think he was a top 5 jungler. I don't think he was bad by any means. He was still good, but I think our top 3 to 5 was like extremely surprising. In playoffs so far, again, his performance against V5 was like MVP level, and he really should be able to outdo Karsa in this series.
With Karsa's recent form. And I think it's really interesting to discuss the dynamic of story coming into this, because what we've seen of Top Esports finishing off the regular season in the past couple of weeks of it was an inconsistent TES that didn't fit the the name of best team in the LPL. Like, we stopped calling them that when we saw the flaws and teams getting a better read on what was supposedly our best team. And Suning recently have performed better. So I think we're shifting roles again here in the semi-final, where Suning may have, I don't know, a bit more support than we expected.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like shifting roles might be like a bit too
much.
Because shifting roles would make it sound like Suning are favorites.
Okay.
But I agree with. Again, if you had asked me before the V5 Suning semifinal if either of these teams would have really been able to contest top esports, I would have said no. Especially Suning, because